tell you the truth. The Son can do nothing by himself. He can only do what he sees his Father doing. Because whatever the Father does, the Son also does. For the Father loves the Son and shows him all he does. Yes, to your amazement, he will show him even greater things than these. For just as the Father raises the dead and gives them life, even so the Son gives life to whom he is pleased to give it. Moreover, the Father judges no one, but has entrusted all judgment to the Son, that all may honor the Son just as they honor the Father. He who does not honor the Son does not honor the Father who sent him. I tell you the truth, whoever hears my word and believes him who sent me has the eternal life and will not be condemned. He has crossed over from death to life. I tell you the truth, a time is coming and has now come when the dead will hear the voice of the Son of God, and those who hear will live. For as the Father has life in himself, so he has granted the Son to have life in himself. And he has given him authority to judge, because he is the Son of Man. Do not be amazed at this, for a time is coming when all who are in their graves will hear his voice and come out. Those who have done good will rise to live, and those who have done evil will rise to be condemned. By myself I can do nothing. I judge only as I hear, and my judgment is just. For I seek not to please myself, but him who sent me. Now, there's just so much teaching in this particular section. The best way to begin this morning is just look at the division of the outline. The theme today is God talk, and what Jesus is doing is he's explaining about God. He claimed to be God, and now he's going to tell those people that denied that he was God, he's going to tell them about God. So the first thing he talks about is God's activity among human beings, that God is not a hands-off God, but he is an involved God. Then he talks about the unique being of God. He says, let God be God. Don't try to make God into something that you with your human mind can grasp and package. Let God be God. And then he talks about the relationship between the Father and the Son, and what that means to you and me. And then finally, he leads to God's ultimate purpose for human beings, eternal life, and how he is the source of that eternal life. So there's a lot there. Let's go right into it. Verses 17 and 19, Jesus says, my Father is always at his work to this very day, and I too am working. I tell you the truth, the Son can do nothing by himself. He can do only what he sees his Father doing, because whatever the Father does, the Son also does. Now, when we talk about the characteristics of God, we oftentimes use the word omni. That word omni means all. So we'll call him omnipotent, all-powerful. Or we'll say he is omnipresent. He's present in every place. And that makes sense, doesn't it? God is in every place. God doesn't have to be constantly running around the world making sure everything's going the way it should. He doesn't have to turn around and look to see if anything's getting away with something behind his back. God is everywhere. But what's so interesting is what Jesus said God is doing. He's working. He is active. He's not observing. He's not gathering data. He is hands-on involved with human beings. Now you might say, well, what is God doing? Well, in the Bible, we hear that God is still preserving the world. He's making everything hang together, making sure those laws of nature stay intact. But it's so much more than that. That's really secondary. God is working with the objective of bringing people to himself. That's what he's doing. That's what it's all about. It's all about people. He keeps the universe hanging together so that he can orchestrate the events of human life to bring people to himself. If you're still not sure about Jesus, if you've still got questions about God, what Jesus is saying that everything that's going on in your life, He is manipulating, he is organizing for one reason. To bring you to himself. To invite you to join him in his family. If you've already received Christ, you've got an added blessing. He says not only is he working all around you, but he's working through you. You're an extension of him. Now think about that. He's molding you, and he's using your life. He's using your life to work in the lives of other people. About 50, 60 years ago, a psychologist by the name of Abraham Maslow came up with what he called his pyramid of needs. And at the bottom level, he said you got to fulfill your basic physical needs of hunger and food and so on. And then there's the emotional needs of loving and being loved. And then psychological needs. Right at the top, he came up with this thing called self-actualization. And people have been talking about that for a long time. Got to be self-actualized. And the way he described it, it's kind of fuzzy, a little touchy-feely, but it's this whole thing of you got your basic needs met, and so now you go beyond, and you're involved in something meaningful, you're using your talents, you're growing intellectually, you're growing as a person. You might say, in layman's terms, it's just being contented and happy. Well, you can just imagine how many people have been wondering, am I self-actualized or not? Well, Jesus comes to us in this text today, and what he's saying here is you can't be self-actualized without being teamed up with him. The whole point of us being here is that we're living in a relationship with God. He didn't create us to live autonomously in the sense that we can live without him. He created us with the need for him, and until we understand it, and until we start seeing life from that viewpoint, there's always going to be something missing. But here's the point. God's working all the time. He's working all the time. And you've got the opportunity to team up with that work. You say, wow, this is pretty exciting stuff. I mean, what's going to happen? It's not an American Idol moment. It's not. Teaming up with God and seeing what he is doing all around us is simply putting into practice what Jesus said when someone asked him, what's the most important commandment? He said, love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, and soul, and love your neighbor as yourself. You know, you don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to do anything necessarily all that different. But if you're loving God and you're loving people, then you're teaming up with God in his eternal work all around you. There's a movie on last night. I didn't see it, but I saw the trailer. It was called The Magic of Ordinary Days. I don't know if anybody saw that. But I saw the trailer. And I think the story was about a young, wealthy girl who married a farmer. And the question was, can this girl who's experienced all the fine things in life be happy on a farm? And she must have been, because at the end she's kissing the guy and they're on the farm and everything. But the question, it really reflects our mentality. That can you be happy with an ordinary life? Can you be happy if you're not driving down the road at 120 miles an hour in a BMW or a Jaguar? You know, our idea is that a fulfilled, exciting life is a Michael Jackson life. We're constantly living out Thriller. And God says, no. It's none of that. You don't have to worry about that. Life is not about emotion, and life is not about physical pleasure. I'm not saying those things are wrong. I'm not saying those things are bad. That we, no, I can't ever feel good, and I can't ever have fun, and I can't ever feel good. No, those are definitely big parts of life. But the foundation of life is truth. And Jesus Christ is truth. You want to have a magic life, even though it's as ordinary as can be. You team up with Jesus Christ and his work. He goes on to talk about God. The Jewish people, they try